808 exists in the lowest chakra of your body. The majority of content that's related to the 808 is killer or sexual content. The original 808s was even off pitch. So that meant it's an actual sound in the track that you don't realize is there that is fucking up your entire frequency. Right. And now, today, every time I hear a car come out, it's 808. But if you think about African music and hip-hop and what we was breakdancing to, it was light.
The percussion.
It was upbeat. It was the drums.
Quite disturbing, right? Let's listen to Dr. Wesley Muhammad having the same opinion.
Them 808 produce low frequency sound. Their signature is low frequency sound in that 808 drum beat, the low frequency drum beat. And remember, how do shamans create altered state of consciousness? In indigenous cultures, it's the drum beat. The drum is the tool to drive one into altered states of consciousness. So the 808 machine, the signature of hip-hop, the drum beat, that most of the 808 beats are in low frequency. Trap music is 808, it resurrected 808 beats. Because now the words are the command message.
Right.
The hypnotic command.
The 808 refers to a type of drum machine that has been widely used in hip-hop and electronic music, known for its deep, resonant bass sound. These low-frequency sounds, often referred to as sub-bass or bass drops, contribute to the distinct and powerful nature of trap music. The drum beats serve as an auditory tool, driving listeners into an altered state of consciousness through rhythmic resonance and low-frequency vibrations. The manipulation of frequencies, especially in the low range, can have various effects on the listener, both psychological and physiological. Trap music resurrects the 808 beat, using them as a commanding sound foundation, where the lyrics serve as a powerful message directing the listener's experience.
The brain chemical serotonin is necessary for mental health for men and women. One reason women suffer from depression in numbers that men not. One of the reasons is the disparity in brain serotonin.
Wesley explains that testosterone and serotonin are like power sources for men. Both men and women need serotonin for better mental health, but if women don't have enough serotonin, it can lead to depression, so serotonin is like the ticket to good mental health. He further explains that if you're listening to a song at 230 Hz in your right ear and 220 Hz in your left ear, your brain syncs up to a phantom 10 Hz, which triggers serotonin.
230 hertz is beamed into my right headphone. 220 is beamed into my left. That my brain was synchronized to a phantom 10 hertz. And 10 hertz is precisely the frequency that stimulates the production of serotonin.
10 Hz is precisely the frequency that stimulates the production of serotonin. For instance, think of your brain like a music player. When you're relaxed, you're closing your eyes, it's playing this chill tune at 10 beats per second. But when you're asleep, it slows down, and when you're focused or doing something active, it speeds up. This switch between rhythms is controlled by a brain area called the reticular activating system. Wesley says that 10 Hz is like a serotonin booster, making us feel good. But the devil knows the biochemistry game too. He triggers the stress chemical noradrenaline, which messes with the good vibes. It's like a tug of war between feeling good and feeling stressed.
4 hertz is the specific fear frequency because 4 hertz stimulates serotonin's opposite, noradrenaline.
Noradrenaline, a neurotransmitter originating in the brain stem, functions as a messenger between neurons. Unlike neurotransmitters, hormones traverse the bloodstream, persisting in their communication throughout the body as they are not subject to reabsorption. This dual functionality underscores its significance in both neural and systemic communication pathways. The neurotransmitter collaborates with adrenaline to accelerate heart rate in response to perceived threat. Concurrently enhancing the volume of blood ejected from the heart. Moreover, it induces vasoconstriction, leading to an elevation in blood pressure. In circumstances where one's life is endangered, these physiological responses collectively furnish the individual with augmented strength to confront and overcome imminent dangers. It also plays a pivotal role in the breakdown of fat and elevation of blood sugar levels, providing an additional surge of energy essential for mobilization. This mechanism is particularly crucial during confrontations with imminent threats, facilitating the fight-or-flight response. Notably, the influence of noradrenaline persists to a lesser degree during non-threatening circumstances. So, in brain chemistry, serotonin takes the lead, influencing our passions. An optimal level of serotonin allows us to master our impulses rather than give in to them. It serves as the controller of our appetites or passions. On the other hand, noradrenaline operates as an accelerator. Elevated noradrenaline levels act as a force that intensifies the batteries of our various impulses and passions. Consequently, a scenario characterized by low serotonin and heightened noradrenaline results in increased impulsivity, rendering us vulnerable and prompting us to act on our instincts without restraint.
And so our noradrenaline is stimulated and it cuts off our serotonin. They can make sure they can stimulate in us our serotonin by producing in us phantom 10 hertz frequencies, but our reality is proof that they have decided to stimulate in us or produce in us a phantom 4 hertz frequency.
Our circumstances demonstrate that external influences like music frequencies have been chosen to shape and stimulate us. He gives examples explaining every hood spanning from one end of America to the other is described as an ecology of fear. In contrast, urban areas, unlike the serene and healthy ecologies found in the suburbs, are portrayed as environments laden with fear and stress. He contends that this is not a random occurrence but a deliberate design.
Consider that New Year's resolution.
In 2012, researchers at Purdue University developed a compact pressure sensor designed for implantation to monitor pressure in areas such as the bladder or blood vessels affected by aneurysms. The challenge with this device was determining how to power such a small implant without a battery. Purdue's biomedical engineering professor Babak Zieh addressed this by creating a 2 centimeter long piezoelectric cantilever beam using lead zirconate titanate. Zieh and fellow researchers tested the device by placing it in a water-filled balloon and exposing it to various music genres, including rap, blues, jazz, and rock. Hip-hop yielded the best results, with Zieh noting its rich low-frequency sound, especially the bass. Vibrating in response to acoustic waves within the 200 and 500 Hz range, the cantilever generates electricity stored in a capacitor within the sensor. Instead of using a plain tone, the researchers opted for music. They tried various music genres to power that medical device. It was only hip-hop with its bass line proving most effective due to its rich low acoustic frequency sounds. The musical acoustic energy can traverse body tissue, inducing vibrations in the cantilever. When the frequency falls beyond the optimal range, the cantilever ceases to vibrate, triggering an automatic transfer of electrical charge to the sensor. This prompts the sensor to conduct a pressure.
So hold up, I was very confused when I first saw this little sensor and why it even needed to be produced or what it could possibly do to be helpful, right? So we're going to go ahead and, we're going to go ahead and let him tell us, but I might even slow it down. So, all right, let's just listen.
Reading and broadcast data through radio signals. As the frequency dynamically changes with the rhythm of the musical composition, the sensor can cyclically alternate between storing charge and transmitting data. Professor Zieh suggested that a brief monitoring period, lasting a couple of minutes every hour, is sufficient for tracking either blood pressure or bladder pressure. Functioning as a micro-electromechanical system, the device was developed at the Burke Nanotechnology Center.
Now that was a word, the small electro something.
Within the university's Discovery Park. Constructed from the piezoelectric ceramic material lead zirconate titanate.
I was just going to say crystals, things of that nature, and he said lead, something.
The 2 centimeter long cantilever beam generates electricity when compressed. While tones within a specific frequency range can substitute for music, Professor Zie notes that using plain tones can be irritating, making the choice of music more aesthetically pleasing and novel. Researchers explored the impact of 4 music genres: rap, blues, jazz, and rock, finding that rap, with its substantial low-frequency sound, especially in the bass, produced the most favorable results. The sensors
I think he means well, I guess favorable to them, which means worse for all of us.
capabilities extend to monitoring pressure in the urinary bladder and the blood vessels, and
Okay, this is where I was like, I had to watch this part I don't know how many times to understand why was this thing even needed in the first place, okay? And this is going to be the reasoning. Let me see. We're going to go just a little slower.
damaged sac. This technology holds potential applications in treating incontinence in paralyzed individuals by assessing bladder pressure and triggering spinal cord stimulation to close the sphincter, controlling urine flow. Furthermore,
No, I ain't mad at that, but just because I knew a quadriplegic, which is neck down, your brain can speak and say, I need to go to the bathroom, so I'm still lost on this.
it could serve immediate diagnostic purposes, offering advantages over current methods involving catheter-equipped probes that require several hours of hospital stay. This
Oh no, we don't want you in the hospital bed. That is too long. Oh my goodness.
innovative technology surpasses conventional implantable devices which either rely on batteries needing periodic replacement or operate on inductance. This is an example of the divine power of hip-hop music. This innovative approach allows intermittent measurements lasting a few minutes every hour to monitor bladder or blood pressure. Wesley says that hip-hop by nature is divine, but when the devil distorts what is divinely created and turns it into a weapon for his own agenda, hip-hop becomes a crucial example.
As with literally anything, that's going to be the case. Always with the inversion, distortion. All right, rock music.
In a research project at the University of California, Los Angeles, Daniel Blumstein conducted a study where participants were asked to evaluate the intensity and emotional tone of various 10-second music pieces. The researchers aimed to explore how music with distortion could impact emotions, drawing a parallel to the distress calls of animals. Using undergraduates as participants, the study tested 10 musical conditions, including rock music, heavy metal, crusty pump, and harsh dissonant music. They found that when the music included distortion, participants perceived it as more thrilling and often associated it with negative emotions. Listeners in the control condition heard music without noise or abrupt transitions in frequency or pitch that was similar to elevator music. Those in the experimental condition listened to music that began in an easy listening manner, but then suddenly broke into distortion. Further research employed the use of video as a distraction. Researchers played minimally evocative video clips paired with music they had proven to cause negative emotions. The video eliminated
Kind of like the movies and the crazy TV shows and all of that fear-mongering.
how exciting the distorted sounding music seemed, but it didn't trump the emotional content of the music. Byron said, "This
I would say making it like you think you want to watch a horror movie or you think what have you, but really it ain't all that good for you."
study helps explain why the distortion of rock and roll gets people excited. It brings out the animal in us. Researchers
Like
found
mosh
that
pits.
dissonant music, like the soundtrack in scary movies, often evokes strong negative emotions like fear or sadness, not happy ones. Such music taps into our primal instincts, making us feel excited or charged with negative feelings. People listening to the distorted music felt more excited and emotionally charged, showcasing the impact of certain sounds on our emotions. Loud and sudden sudden changes in music, like the screeching sounds, grab our attention because they trigger emotional responses similar to how animals alert each other to danger. This happens because these sounds, with their discordant effect, mirror the distress calls animals use in nature. They found that the sound of rock music was similar to the sound of animals dying. The sound of animals in distress characterizes rock music that arouses people and gets them weaponized against other people. Music operates as a frequency program capable of influencing different mental states. By manipulating frequencies, music can make people go into meditative states or facilitate sleep. The brain, functioning and communicating with cellular structures through electricity,
That should kind of tell you everything right there, what he just said.
operates within specific frequency bands. Broadcasting frequencies carrying information and perceptions within the brain's decoding range allow external influence on people's perceptions. This external influence occurs by broadcasting frequencies that interact with the brain's decoding mechanisms, shaping individuals' experiences and perceptions. The adoption of A440 in music is associated with the Roman Catholic Church, which historically suppressed certain frequencies.
The A440 is what now is the standard tuning. If you go A439, you're closer to one of the creator's tones. If you go A441, you're closer to one of the creator's original tones. That's how precisely it has been manipulated. To do what? To shut down the 95% of your brain, particularly the right brain that operates the heart-mind to the divine human community.
Notably, the investigation into the lost frequencies was triggered by the recovery of 152 Gregorian chants, including the spiritually uplifting hymn to Saint John the Baptist. This particular hymn, played in 6 tones, became the focus of the search for these frequencies of vibration. The 6 tones represent frequencies that have been manipulated with A440 Hz now serving as the standard tuning. Choosing a tuning like A439 brings one closer to one of the creator's tones, while A421 brings proximity to one of the creator's original tones. This precise manipulation is believed to impact the brain, particularly the right brain responsible for the heart-mind connection to the divine human community, aiming to limit its functioning. Imagine being in a room filled with aggression and conflict, and you can almost feel the tension. This experience is similar to the way frequencies of hate and conflict can alter the electromagnetic field of space. Just like tuning your car radio to a station when the music is enjoyable and you are grooving, the farther you get from the broadcasting tower, the more staticky it becomes. You may endure it for a while, but eventually it becomes annoying and even sickening. This analogy is applied to life, where people may not realize they've been exposed to negative frequencies their whole lives, affecting their emotions and perceptions. By embedding messages just below the threshold of perception, but eventually it becomes annoying and even sickening.
Because folks are unaware. So let's hear that again.
This analogy is applied to life, where people may not realize they've been exposed to negative frequencies their whole lives, affecting their emotions and perceptions. By embedding messages just below the threshold of perception, these frequencies can go directly into the subconscious, playing across communities without anyone consciously realizing it. The impact is gradual, building rage and anger, often triggered by events like police actions leading.
I believe that's what Prince was talking about years ago when he said that about the chemtrails, he would notice them in his neighborhood and then everybody would be all aggro, fighting, what have you.
Mass unrest and actions people wouldn't normally take. In a broader perspective, while the Universal Orchestra sings love songs and uplifting frequencies, humanity is described as the only species out of tune, susceptible to manipulations. The analogy extends to the military, where technology exists to deploy frequencies that break the enemy's spirit, compelling them to surrender. This highlights the profound influence and potential manipulation associated with the power of frequencies. In contrast to conventional frequencies, the solfeggio frequency, especially 528 Hz, has gained attention for its perceived healing properties. The frequency you're listening to can influence how UV light is absorbed into your DNA, and 528 Hz is the only one proven to beneficially alter this process. The frequency of 528 Hz plays a role in enhancing these positive effects in contributing to an improved sense of well-being. Another study explored the impact of 5 to 8 Hz music on individuals, comparing it to the commonly used 440 Hz. After exposure to 528 Hz music, participants experienced a substantial increase in oxytocin levels. While 440 Hz music also led to an oxytocin increase, it was less.
How are we going to talk about the 440 hertz and not talk about what it really should be, which is the 432?
Less pronounced compared to the effects of 5 to 8 Hz. The stress hormone showed a noticeable decrease 30 minutes after participants listened to 528 Hz music. In contrast, 440 Hz music resulted in only a minor reduction in cortisol levels after the same duration. Using salivary biomarkers, electrocardiogram data, and mood state questionnaires, the study revealed that just 5 minutes of exposure to 528 Hz music significantly reduced stress levels. This stress reduction effect was not observed with 440 Hz music. These findings suggest that music tuned to the solfeggio frequency of 5 to 8 Hz has unique physiological effects, promoting a reduction in stress and influencing hormonal responses. The solfeggio frequency of 5 to 8 Hz specifically activates the solar plexus chakra. This frequency is linked to enhancing personal power, boosting confidence, aiding decision-making, and promoting manifestation. Music tuned to 528 Hz facilitates a reconnection with our authentic selves. It supports making decisions from a position of inner strength and mental clarity, fostering a harmonious balance within the solar plexus chakra. Solfeggio frequencies exhibit more positive effects on the body compared to other sounds or tones, and this is attributed to the Schumann resonance. In conclusion, the debate between 440 Hz and 528 Hz frequencies involves not just musical tuning but also claims of healing properties. While 440 Hz has been the standard for years, many argue that 528 Hz associated with healing effects is more beneficial.
TikTok shop.
I guess I'm gonna have to find something that goes over all of the hertz, because yes, 528 is good, but we didn't cover it all.